Dude, I'm trying to just keep up with it, and it's amazing what we can build. SaaS is dead. We can build our own companies and just run them out, you know?
Well, I'm looking forward to tapping into that.
Totally. Right. I think we should let in the folks. Nice t-shirt, by the way.
Thanks, dude.
All right. Welcome. Happy Thursday, everyone.
You know things are working, Peter, when like twice as many note takers show up in week 5 as showed up in week
I
0.
was gonna say the exact same thing. Like it's working when people's note takers are here before them, right? Like they're getting it. So love that. Um,
Good morning.
Alex and Larissa, you get the prize for being the first two humans in.
Morning, Alex.
Morning.
Ray of sunshine.
Hey,
It's
morning.
coffee.
Morning?
Morning,
No,
Larissa.
afternoon.
All
Over
right,
there.
Good for you.
where
Yeah,
you at?
just turned there. Hey, Nicole. Good to see you. Is it 4 a.m. for you, or is that where you're still in Australia? Yeah?
Yeah, it's 4 a.m.
Oh my God. You win the prize, the absolute prize. And I do not blame you for not being on camera. And
Yeah,
if you,
sorry, I caught.
no worries. And if we're gonna do some partner group stuff too. Like if it's a little too much, like just ping me and no judgment at all if you're not wanting to jump into group work either necessarily, but it's
Yeah,
gonna be a blast of a class.
oh, great. Thank you.
You bet. All right. Yeah, Kevin and Fernanda, nice to see you guys. Welcome.
Tell me about your art, Fernanda.
Say that again. Oh,
Tell me
that
about the
one.
art behind you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a take on religious art, but then the thing that's written there is just like a formal saying that we have in Brazil. So it's kind of like a take on religious thing, but then what it's written,
It says the life of the free life or something.
it says quem é vivo sempre aparece, who is alive always shows up. So that's something that we say when you see someone that you haven't seen in a long time.
Cool.
Nice.
I
Yeah,
just got back from Sao Paulo like 12 hours ago.
I know, I've heard. Yeah, I'm sad. I was there for barely like 2 hours because we were driving to the coastal part of São Paulo,
Yeah.
Ubatuba.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I have nothing but amazing things to say. I had the best time. I really had my eyes opened in so many ways. And I stayed a few extra days after the AI Film Festival and just I got to spend time with the big advertising agencies and a couple of the big entertainment companies just talking about all these things that we're talking about even in this course and stuff. So it was a really good time. I think I get
Amazing.
I think I get to go back.
Yeah, everyone should. Brazil is the best
Take me
country. I'm
with you.
biased. I'm biased, but we're the
I'm not
best.
biased. I just spent Christmas in Mexico City by myself, just a vacation from Vancouver. And so I had this frame of reference of like Latin American capital city and Sao Paulo. Mexico City's got nothing on Sao Paulo. Like it's like a whole different world. It's just incredible.
Yeah, we have mixed feelings, but São Paulo is it swallows you. It's kind of New York. I would never live there, but I love just like spending time and absorbing art and culture, all of that.
Welcome, everyone. I think we're just going to start to get into it a little bit here today. So it is absolutely class five, and if I can find my slides, we shall see where we are. Here we go. So we are in the middle of vibe coding time. This is what we're going to be spending our class on, and you may have heard this. I'm curious, let me know in the chat if you have done this before, or know what it is. If anyone wants to take a crack at trying to define it, would love that.
I've
Never.
I've used it. I used it to create a video based on the opening part of an essay that starts my book that I'm going to release for a 20th
Wow.
anniversary. And
Wow.
it's really fun. So what it is that use a prompt to get to code a website or an app using language instead of using knowing what you're doing, coding a website or an app.
I mean,
Exactly.
that's a beautiful description.
Yeah, thank you for letting me put you on the spot there and raising your hand. Before we get into vibe coding, I'm curious, does anyone have something that they want to show related to homework, and AI assistant that they are excited about, or it could just be really informal. You don't have to take us through it, but did anyone build one they're finding is really helpful to them or is not quite there all the way? Did anyone build one at all after last class?
I had a question last class that was about like which documents should I be uploading as, I don't know, like a resource.
Mhm.
But then after taking a look at your workflow, I think I have like a better understanding, but I'm still kind of like struggling. Besides like my profile, um, kind of like words that I use, and I don't know how I communicate, like what would be valuable to me as like a executive assistant to help me with my work. What would be
I
the
mean,
next?
this is the heart of the matter in some ways. If what you're trying to build is an assistant for yourself as an executive assistant, you might think of the different types of things. Like, it's like, how do I provide the machine the context to know all the things that it knows to answer me as good as it can? And so that's like potentially biographical or resume type information, writing style type information. That's like not just maybe words you use and words you don't, but like analyze these five things that I've written in the last year that are good quality examples of my writing and build a writing style guide from it so that I can share this with my writing team and have them write like me or something like that. Um, any other things that you feel like share your perspective or your worldview or your voice? If you don't have them already, you can create them by analyzing, say, like a social media account of yours. Here's my Instagram account. Go through all this and tell me what you've learned about what I care about, or something like that, and starting to attach those things to your personal assistant. um, is yeah, but that is the right question. And then, like, if you were building one for the executive you support, the question would be the same. It's like, what documents can I create or give this thing that speaks in her voice so that I can have it generate stuff in there? You may choose to have two, one for yourself, one for your executive, and have them both be separate document knowledge bases based on whatever you're able to come up with.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make
So,
sense and kind of speak to your?
It does. I feel like just my work in specific is like so different than all of the examples that I've seen. Like
mhm.
writing isn't like what I use writing for. It's to basically communicate with my team executives and writing emails. So it's not like I'm publishing like writing per se. Like
We're in
my
a new space though, where you can, like, if you choose to, attach your Chat GPT account to your Gmail account and have it go through last year's worth of emails and pull out your
yeah.
writing style. It doesn't need to be published per se. It can be internal stuff now that you can connect
Yeah.
these things
And
together.
Meltwater may not let you do that, but guess what? Even if you have like Outlook or Gemini in Gmail, do you guys use Google Suite or anything or
We use the Google Suite, but we're not allowed to use Gemini. So that's
so
kind of like tricky. I can't connect my Chat GPT with any of the resources I would like to.
So you can't like go to your inbox and you don't see like the little star sparkly thing for Gemini to chat with it. To see like summarize my emails or build a profile, right, on the executives I talk to the most often, right? And the language I use to describe them.
Where would that be?
So it
I
would
don't see any start.
okay,
Good
So
so I
point.
I
think
guess,
Let's take that one offline. We'll get back to you.
let's
okay.
do a coaching session on this for you
Yeah,
because
okay.
we're getting into the weeds, but this is absolutely the right types of questions. And the answer in a nutshell is it's going to depend on your process and your stack. And I think we can get you there as far as we're able to, given your corporate shackles on the AI side a little bit. But you're not unique in that sense, right? There's always going to be some sort of for good reason, right? Some barriers and things to work around, and so we'll get you there. Thanks for the question. Did anyone else spin one up, or I'm curious, Chad or Kevin on your guys' team. I'm gonna pick on you because I had some good calls with both of you since last class. Are you guys using any of those Microsoft Suite like agent AI assistants?
Yes. So I don't think Chad's on the call right now, but he actually spun up too. We worked on them together at work this week. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but our parent company has two brands. One's called Escort, one's called Cobra. Cobra tends to be like a little bit more utilitarian and a legacy brand, the CB radios, things like that. Escort's a little bit more polished. It's radar detectors for people who have high performance cars. And obviously, the brand voices are entirely different. So we ingested not only the brand guides, but pretty much all of the copy docs and material that I've written for each brand. And the stuff they spit out is actually really, really cool because it's really on par for how you would talk about each brand without. And there's a lot of people within the org who kind of struggle, and they'll actually reach out to me as a copywriter to put this stuff together, and I can just do it in an instant with this now. So it's pretty awesome. And Chad stood it up entirely. So I wish he was on the
Yeah,
call about it.
I mean,
But
there's no way you can support every sales or marketing person inside both brands on a copywriting basis unless you have something like this. Now all of a sudden you actually can offer to be like spruce up their shit in kind of an automated way, or
yep.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually really refreshing
Yeah.
because I can just query it immediately and be like, oh, here you go. Especially if it's something as trivial as like a LinkedIn post or something like that they're just trying to clean up. It's just so yeah, it's really nice.
Cool.
That's amazing. Yeah. So your bandwidth suddenly got freed up, it sounds like by maybe an order of magnitude, which is the goal with all this stuff. Amazing. Okay. I want to make sure we have time to get into what's next here, which is one of our favorite classes every time we run this course or a version of it. Um, and we have to do a little PSA because as you notice here, we are in week 5 of vibe coding. Next week is capstone project presentations. So this is your show and tell, and we have a sign up sheet. It will be first come, first serve for the slot, but we require a pre-recorded 5-minute presentation. You can use Loom or another. We'll talk about that. And the reason is it'll help us stay on time as well as it can be a nice little video to share internally with teammates, etc. And potentially something you might want to showcase publicly as well, or we sometimes do, right, on our YouTube channel or whatever, people who are really proud of what they put together. We have the sign up sheet here. And so what it will look like is we have a spot for your presentation link. It'll be a URL. I will play them, and then we'll have 5 minutes or so for Q&A and feedback for each presentation. And it might go over, just a heads up, it's possible that we might go over the official 90 minutes next week. So if you know that you have a hard stop, sign up for one of the earlier slots so you can get feedback in real time and answer questions and stuff. But I'm going to share this in the chat. We'll
Yeah,
send
I mean, don't snooze on this one. It actually ends up being really good. A lot of people build sort of adjacent projects, and we learn a lot from each other, looking at the under the hood of people's knowledge bases or their vibe coded sites and stuff. And so it's a really good chance to see kind of like all the different skills that you've been exposed to and exploring remixed from different people's perspectives. It probably will give you a lot of ideas of how to use some of the tools and skills you've already accumulated. So yeah, don't snooze on it. It's a good class.
Yeah, and so just a reminder, sign up for coaching as well in the meantime here. This is the platform that we recommend. It's like a Chrome extension. It allows you on their free tier to do that 5-minute video. So it kind of fits perfectly for our class. And we'll send out the link to that afterwards as well. But don't stress, it makes it super easy. And if you need to, book coaching, right? This is a PSA. So if you haven't used your 2 30-minute sessions, now's the perfect time to, and we encourage you to do that before next week in particular. Great. So what the hell are we going to do today for the remainder of class? We are going to roll up our sleeves and build. It's going to be a blast. We are first going to do a little bit of a preamble as far as what vibe coding is. Louise gave us a great definition, which is basically having verbal or text prompting abilities to create almost anything, a website, a interactive storytelling deck, in some cases, a combination of those things, right? But it accelerates the prototyping and sort of feedback loop process by maybe, 10x, if not more, right? You can add feedback on it, right? It's changed your process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so, and I mentioned this in this class before, but a lot of times when I'm doing consulting or web development on a client call, I'm learning their requirements, and I would take those away and share them with my team and do some work and come back a couple weeks later. And now I can do a lot of that kind of in the same day, same call, real time. And what it allows me to do is to get better requirements and feedback from clients at a very early stage and really just kind of like jump right into things. So yeah, it's a powerful like workflow overhaul, that's for sure.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of different vibe coding tools that are really popular right now. These are only a few of them. There's dozens, but these are kind of the ones near the front of the pack right now. We're going to be using Lovable today, and the reason why we didn't ask you to sign up earlier and experiment with it is that you only get a certain amount of credits on it for free. So we wanted you to save those for our exercises today. I'm going to drop the link to this in the class. Do sign up. It's super easy to create an account. While Chris is going to take us on a little tour and spin some of his creations there. But do not actually prompt it to build anything yet, because we're going to have a bit of a structured exercise to go through together and do that. But yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna toss it over to Chris here in a minute. And I can show one or two things as well in my Lovable, but some of the best ways to understand what's possible is to see and have a little bit of an idea here, right, of what other people are tinkering with before we go do this ourselves. Chris, are you ready, or do you want me to jump into Lovable and show one or two?
No, that sounds great. I got a few things open over here.
Awesome. I'll let you screen share.
So my favorite thing to do when I'm experimenting with like a new tool is to just like take something and turn it into something else. And so a lot of times I've found myself like taking like PDFs of like a document or something, and then having it like vibe code up a website for me. And so I'm just going to take you through a couple different things that I pulled together to give you some ideas of what we could do. So this first one I took a student from our other courses, documents from the assistant that she made. So this is her glossary, her writing style guide, and this is her LinkedIn PDF. That was pretty much all I gave it. And I gave it a very small prompt. I want to build a portfolio website from my friend with a little bit of information from her LinkedIn profile. And first crack, this thing pulls together a very kind of like high. So this is just like her LinkedIn more or less with some writing style information remixed different ways. So it's a full interactive website pulled from a LinkedIn export. It even wrote some case studies of her different roles, and really kind of like took it pretty far in terms of like just a couple prompts from a couple text documents into a pretty usable site. This even pulled out all her testimonials from her LinkedIn and drop them in here as references. So this is like LinkedIn to personal portfolio website. Let's see what else we got here. I did kind of the same thing for BCAI, turned this into a badass interactive website so my community can look into our personality. This was a bunch of chat logs and stuff that I pulled together and built a website out of from our WhatsApp group chats, and some other files around who's attending what, some information about our office hours with like key highlights summarized from those office hours. Pretty amazing, actually. It took these 15 transcripts of 15 drop-in Zoom calls and built out a whole, cross comparison and analysis of what's going on there. Fernanda, I was saying like feed it docs and ask it what your style is all about. In this case, I fed it chat logs and asked like, what's our culture? And so, it pulled these values out of the text exchanges by community members in our chat logs. Even this is a cool part. This is a bunch of members in my nonprofit's personal projects that they've mentioned on one of our Zoom calls. So it went through and found like 15 different projects that different people in our community, and then made little profiles about them, and I can dig more deeply into them and stuff. So this was taking 10 WhatsApp chat logs and vibe coding up a whole community portal around it. Maybe I'll just find one more good one. Cool. Build this fully interactive high-end design UI UX for my presentation. So in this case, I took an outline from a talk that I was going to give to a bunch of design students and had it build like a compendium website to go along with it. So I, gave my lecture and I published this site, and they were able to go through and like literally like make comments while I was talking and submit them to the rest of the group. And then I was able to, pull comments from the students from the portal while I was talking. Took all my main points and made these cool like little widgets out of them that, shows, just a fun little interactive way of looking at the information from my keynote. Built some other weird little like widgets and different ways to interact with the content that we used as exercises throughout the class. And so again, this was just like I took my speaker notes outline from a talk that I was going to give and dropped in the vibe coding thing and was like, build a compendium that students can follow along. I guess one last thing I'll show you is this media monitoring dashboard. I am going to the Olympics in LA in a couple of years. I've been doing a bunch of Olympics media studies research over the past like 2 decades. I go to the Olympic Games and I join in the media centers and I monitor independent media and citizen journalism and try to surface the stories that are coming from outside the broadcast mainstream. So this was like me early on building a demo of what like the dashboard could look like once I've assembled all the feeds of the different journalists and athletes that are going to be doing coverage from the games. So this was like me experimenting with the best ways to represent a whole bunch of unknown flows of data in the future into one dashboard so that I could actually start to do some analysis. Like this is sentiment analysis. This is like who's getting the most engagement by category, broadcasters versus athletes, let's say, clustering stories that are emergent stories that are coming out by topic area, built all these cool interactive graphs and charts with even like the little like tool tips that pop up when so I didn't specify all these things. I just back and forth natural language with it until I was getting something that I like. So yeah, that's kind of 4 different things that I've built recently using this process. And I built some for y'all too. I know Eileen and I have one on the go that we're working on around her methodology. And Tanya and I have done some work in this space. But yeah, that's my little, here's what I'm building demo.
Nice. Louise has a hand. Go for it.
Yeah, I played with it actually while on the phone. I was trying to tell a friend about it, and I uploaded a document that was a book that was it was a slavery and justice project that I launched. Somebody else like continued it, wrote a book, and we've been talking about doing a website. And in 4 minutes, so my question is, I was amazed because in 4 minutes I can actually show you guys what it.
That's a great example too. I've got this book PDF, turn it into an interactive journalism portal.
But I went first to Claude and said what I wanted and asked it to create a prompt. And so Claude actually, I think, wrote a bunch of stuff based on, I gave like some visual cues. Why am I like not able to like deal with this?
I got one little thing for you. Next to the preview button on the upper left, if you click that little thing, you might get a little more room.
Next to the preview button on the upper left. This?
No,
wait.
it's
blue. I see.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay. So yeah, so like I'm on the phone with my friend and talking to her while simultaneously writing a few sentences of visual and concept into Claude, which generates a prompt, which I then put in Lovable, and it created this. I was just astounded.
Incredible. Yeah.
So anyway, but so my question is, was that a good idea, or could I have done all of that in Lovable and forget Claude?
I do exactly that. I think I would call it like the intermediate breakthrough or whatever is like, the first time around, you can be prompting directly into Lovable, but we all know that we can upgrade our prompts using our other AIs. So I would very much like give it your PDF, say, I want to go vibe code a website about this, have it give you one great prompt to start with. That's a great strategy.
I was amazed at what it did. I mean, it's, I would want it to be different, but like for a start, for like 4 minutes while not really paying attention, like, wow.
For me, it really shows the unlock though, which
Same.
is like that book is a data gold mine once you apply all these other things on top of it. And so is anything, right? If you even have one article on your website or one blog that's great, you can be like, turn this high performing blog post into an interactive data driven journalism portal, and it will really take that research and quotes and all the conclusion and turn it into something pretty interactive and awesome. So that
The
it's a great.
amazing thing is the book is written in a very dense academic style, and so I asked it to be made accessible to grades 8 through 12 as a shorthand for basically your average reader. And it did a fantastic job. I'm an editor. I approve of the writing it did,
That's
actually.
amazing. Um, well, we are about to go tinker and do some of what you just saw in small groups. So I'm going to share the activity. This is a two-part activity. So we're going to basically break out into small groups. You'll have a partner, maybe two, and you'll take something, could be an article, could be a blog post, right? Could be a data set, CSV, a PDF, a docx, whatever, and you'll reimagine it and re-envision it using Lovable. And so here's the activity. I just dropped the link in the chat there, which you guys should pull up before we go into breakout rooms, and feel free to make a copy of it if you want to take notes, but you don't need to probably. Are you guys able to access that? I don't see anyone on it yet, so I want to make sure people have the instructions here, but essentially you'll choose a
Sorry,
starting.
where's the link to that?
Yeah, it's in the Zoom chat. So should
I
be
don't see
this
it in the
stuff.
chat. Does anyone else?
Oh, hold on. Here we go. Try this. Put it in the wrong chat. I messaged it to just Nicole. Sorry about that,
Where
guys.
is everybody?
I was like, where are all my anonymous animals at? I need my flock of ducks and lions and stuff. So here we go. Um, all right, so we will be following this. Basically have about 15 minutes for chapter one here, where you'll choose a starting point, and we can actually hop over to Lovable and talk about what you'll be doing, right? And so Lovable here, when you get started, will look like this. When we say take something and kind of remix it or re-envision it, here's where you can attach things, right? So you'll use this plus button in the bottom left-hand corner of this initial sort of start text box, and you can add in whatever you want, right? Files, take screenshots of existing things you like or want to imbue sort of the flavor or style of. You can also, if you want, set sort of a design theme or template. You certainly do not need to do this. In fact, I find it to be a lot easier to basically take something of a screenshot of something that already exists and have it do the work of building in the theme that I want, right, or flavor. But you will, yeah, basically be able to set your prompt up. Here you can use the template, which is here in part two, right? Your prompt, build an interactive XYZ, right? Site dashboard reports, could be slide deck that shows the message or data, right? It could be whatever you upload, right? In this case, it could be the blog post content, right? Whatever type of thing you decide to upload and remix in, and perhaps a different style, right? Or tone for who, right? What audience? And so this is something of a very basic way to get started here, remixing things with Lovable. And so you will go to Lovable here and follow the instructions, and basically you'll be off to the races here. We'll come back and do a group check-in after 15 minutes and see how things are going, what challenges you're running into. If you've run out of credits, which is possible, you can try the same thing on Vercel, right? Or VO, which is another of these type of vibe coding platforms, right? But thinking about, yeah, being ready to share out where you're at. Screen share ideally would be amazing. That's what we love to do at that check-in to see how everything's going. And yeah, then we'll have a part two to kind of level up and continue to refine these. Sound good? Any
Question.
questions?
So
Yeah.
as a group, how are we choosing one topic and creating it as a group?
Nope. I want
Oh,
everyone
everyone's
to
doing
do
their
this.
own?
Yeah, I want
Okay.
everyone to do this. Yep. This is required for you to have your own. And yeah, it's really fun to see what happens. But you'll be in kind of a pod or with a partner, and so feel free to screen share as a group as well and compare notes and processes for how it's going. And yeah, I hope you have fun in there. I'm gonna open the rooms now. Any other questions before that? All right, let's do it. I'm gonna set a timer for about 15 minutes or so, and then we'll reconvene. And Nicole, you'll be by yourself with the note takers since it's so early for you. Folks will join us here in less than a minute. Chris, I've been popping around to groups and seeing where they're at. We extended it a few minutes to allow people to actually generate their V1s. And I'm really excited to see at the check-in point here where we're at. I've seen some wild ideas flowing around, things that we haven't seen before in this class even. And so I'm really curious to see what pans out.
I mean, it's been all of 2 weeks since we've done this class, and I'm so shocked to hear that we're seeing new stuff. I mean, it's been moving really quick.
Yeah, totally. Welcome back, everyone, for our check-in. Fernanda, can I put you on the spot a little bit to screen share and show us where you're at? Yours may or may not have finished its V1. I should have probably said it can take 5 to sometimes 10 minutes to generate the initial version because it has to make all of the file structure and all of the code to set it up. It goes faster to iterate. Um, but feel free to screen share and then talk us through what your process was so far and where you're at here in Lovable.
Sure. So I was in between like two ideas, which were, so we have like everything going on in the world, like everyone is of course worried about it. And then I've read that the most searched topic in Brazil was like Big Brother, the show, the TV show. So it was just like funny how the juxtaposition of like everyone being worried about like a war, like a third world war breaking in, and then Brazilians were worried about like who was gonna win Big Brother Brazil. I don't know,
I mean, that sounds like a tough
26th
topic too,
edition.
depending. Like I haven't watched the show,
Yeah.
but I mean
So I was going in that direction in terms of like doing a graphic or something like that. But then another thing that popped in my head was just like I was flying back home. My son, he's 4, he was asking me about what the things in the safety card on the plane were. Like, what are these people like? What is this fire? What is this water? And I was like, how can I say something? How can I explain that to him without making him scared of flying? So, and then I'm sure like something like this exists, but and then I was looking and it's not true that the most searched topic of Brazil was Big Brother. So that idea like went out of the window. But then I do feel like this could be helpful. So how to topic to your kids about tough topics. The thing was like I had little time to research like PDFs or like articles about like
mhm.
gentle parenting and all of that, but I found a few added to it. And then, yeah, just like allows you to get child group age and then what to say, what to do, what to avoid.
Hmm,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, so I thought it was interesting. Like, to be honest, I'm happy with the first interact in the first version. I'm sure there's like
Yeah.
better. Um,
There's so many things you could do with this, right? Like simulate a conversation or put together like I like that it has the initial script, like um super intrigued, yeah.
yeah, like let's see what.
Yeah, generate me a children's book short story with images for the main topics. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know if it allows me to search for anything else.
It looks like maybe just the topics that it has so far there.
Yeah. So
So
that
it didn't have, oh, I see, I see, I see. Yeah. So when I searched for war, for example, it generated the violence and use. So yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting
Curious to
concept.
see another one. Thank you so much for sharing where
Yeah.
you got to here. And yeah, we sort of intentionally made this as a bit of a sprint. I'm curious, does anyone else want to share what they got back at this point?
I'd like to just because I have some questions, but I've talked a
Sure.
lot, so somebody else go.
No, we have time for other folks, so go for it, Louise. And then Gokhan, do you want to share next?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Saw you come
So
up.
I am thinking of reissuing my book, which is called Knock Yourself Up. It's about becoming a single mom by choice.
Knock yourself up. That's
Yeah.
amazing title.
That is such a
It
good
got
title.
so much publicity, and unfortunately, because it sold to the top bidder in a bidding war, which was a self-help imprint. Self-help doesn't get reviewed, and it also only anyway. So I asked it to make a website out of my book manuscript, which I happen to have handy. So
Amazing.
I will, and I gave it some parameters, and I'm a little interested in what it did. All right, I'm
I'm
sharing.
more than a little interested in what it did if you gave it an entire book manuscript.
So, share.
Oh man,
So,
no problem, Duck.
so that was a tagline that I'm actually going to remove for the 20th anniversary edition. It was because it was initially written for
I
an
love it. I love it. Why get
um, I don't
if
know.
it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's a little cheap. It's a little too cheeky, and it doesn't really reflect the seriousness of the book. But
That's fair. That's fair.
so I asked it to figure out a website, and one of the things I told it is to, go explore the chapters and like have like a layer of, different layers of information. I obviously needed to be more specific about that because it just has the chapters and it doesn't link to anything. But the thing that I actually thought was cool is that I asked it to do um, a summary and top quotes from all the women. So I interviewed 43 women from all across the country, but it didn't do 43 women. I'm not sure why that happened.
Because you're on the
But
free plan probably, and the way
no,
you're
I'm a paid plan.
Oh, you're on the paid plan? Oh.
It also, I specified, now I specified to Claude, so I don't know what Claude did.
Uh,
But I specified that the book is hot pink and has a bright yellow rubber bathtub ducky. And somehow there's like a mallard. What?
it's using the emoji everywhere now.
I mean, I was very specific about that, so that's a little odd.
That's so funny. So you use Claude to make the prompt to send the
yeah.
Lovable as part of your process. I see. Yeah.
So what it did without me asking, which is interesting, is it gave a summary of, for example, this woman, and some top quotes from her.
Are these the real quotes?
Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
And then it links to the chapters that you can read related. And I guess that's not a real link, so I'm not sure why that's not a real link. So my question is, why didn't it make real links to things that I kind of described? And I mean, you obviously have to be a little bit more granular in the way you instruct it, but it's pretty amazing.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
one of my favorite follow-up prompts, because usually it just takes a crack at it, and then one of my favorite follow-up prompts is like, make all the features and functions work and build out all the pages. Is something I usually say afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Make all features and functions work and build out all the pages and test, or something like that. Even that could be your very next follow-up prompt, because a lot of times it'll make links off to the sub pages, but there's not actually content there, and it's because it's like doing a first draft. It's like, oh, you like my concept enough to have me proceed, that's great. And so just tell it like, okay, take the next step, let's go deeper.
Oh, that's really helpful. Yeah. No, I'm just noticing it has this it has these overarching things. I squandered 8 years. I really wish I'd made the decision earlier. Do it. Somehow the universe provides. Like, it's all related quotes from the women on the splash page, which
I
is
mean, that's
that was not my
awesome.
idea,
Yeah.
but it's great.
And that's the
It's
collaborative
not
part too.
readable, but it's great.
Well, that's the collaborative part too, where you're like, oh, I didn't even realize you could go in there and pull out all the quotes. Why don't you add a whole new quotes page with all the testimonials with some cool interactive functionality to parse through them or something like that? So it kind of like gives you an idea that it would be useful. They're not readable, but then you take that idea and you're like, oh yeah, right. Let's build out a whole section of that.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Up next. Thanks so much for sharing.
Thanks. That was really helpful, your answers to why it didn't do what I thought it might do.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, feel free to screen share and take us through what did you
Sure.
experiment with?
I just looked for free data set that I can download and try to create something creative. So the easiest thing I found was the Canadian nutrient file. It has all the nutrient information here, CSV documents. So I put all the information to ChatGPT and asked for a prompt, and I fed it here. So it came up with this beautiful design. So let's say bananas.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's the nutrition content
Yeah.
of bananas.
Wow.
And so I can compare like different foods. Let's say if you want to compare like three types of proteins here, is salmon good or chicken breast? Like,
What?
so it
Dude,
can
I want
compare
this.
these.
They don't just eat that
So
shit in Canada, man.
I didn't have credit left,
Yeah,
but
that's what you'll run
uh,
into.
I could have add more features here. I think it's quite convenient. But my question to you guys would be like, what is the next step? Like, if I find like something that actually could be handy for me, which like this tool could be, if I can just send what I eat by an email or like to my agent, and if it just goes here and calculates the nutrition content, it gives me a report automatically. That would be like something handy that I would really want to use. But so what I should be doing? Like, I mean, I can keep on building here. Then what's the next step? Like, I don't know how to
Yep.
launch this, or like, how do
This
I
is a
maintain
great
this
question.
document?
Yeah.
I'll flip over if you want, Peter.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, this is something I wanted every group to understand as well, and I mentioned to just one, I think.
Okay, so there's two ways to get this stuff out into the world if you like what you got. The first one is just to press this publish button up here, and
Mm-hmm.
mine has been published, but you get to choose a URL. I chose this one, and you get to publish it, and then it will live at this like standalone URL here. So this is like something that I could send on the group chat, and everyone would be able to go there. The other way to do it though, and the way that becomes really powerful, because I know that like a lot of us have heard of like Claude Code and some of these cool agentic things, is this other button next to publish is sync your project to GitHub. GitHub's like a code repository where you can build something in Lovable, stick it up on GitHub, and then download it onto your computer, send it to your web developer, or do other things like you can go into GPT, point it at your GitHub thing, and say, audit this code that I built in Lovable and help me get it ready to put on a hosting platform or something like that. So the easiest two ways to share vibe coded projects are to publish them to the World Wide Web or to sync them to GitHub. But also, there's one more specific answer to your question, Gakken, which is if you built this tool and you've done these searches and sorts and then you want to put it somewhere else, why not vibe code up an export button into the tool itself where you're like, okay, after I've run some analysis, I want to export the chart as well as a report to my email or to my agent or something like that. So I would add that function first, maybe even vibe code in an export tool. And then when you're happy enough with it, publish it to the web and publish it to GitHub. And then when I can help you take it to the next step.
Mm-hmm. So what's the fundamental engineering, software engineering skills that we need to learn to maintain that project on GitHub?
That's an
Uh,
amazing question.
I'll have to talk to you more about that one offline. When you phrase it that way, it sounds more complicated than it is. But for now, GitHub is just the way to connect it to other things. Um, I don't think that I don't think that me answering your question as you asked it would be super helpful right now, but it is a good way of thinking about things.
Can
Okay.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a similar question, I guess, but like, so so the code as it goes on GitHub, like is like how would you put the code that you publish to GitHub onto your regular hosting platform? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is it copy and paste all of those files and make them and sort of
No.
like
So
how, yeah.
here's the cool thing. So you probably wouldn't even need to do that if you just want to publish it, for example. Let me show you. Chris mentioned this a little bit, but I think this is maybe an easier way to think about it or go through it. Let me see here. This one was a fun student demo a while ago. So this is my friend's company. We like basically used her Instagram to make their virtual landing page and store and stuff. So what's cool is like up here, if you wanted to publish this, right? Let's say on her actual domain, like we can basically log into GoDaddy, right? And all we have to do is sign in there. Literally, that's it. And choose which domain from our list of owned domains that we want it to live at, and then press go, and it will migrate, it'll be there, right? And so, like, you don't even have to necessarily do the GitHub thing, right? The GitHub thing is relevant when you know you might want to like migrate it other places if it's a much more complex type of project. But having a good backup of all the code is a good reason enough to use GitHub. That's basically allows you, they call them repos. Think of them as depots for your code, right? It just is stored there in case you don't actually want to use Lovable and pay for that anymore with GoDaddy. You want to use, a different service like Vercel to keep developing this, right? One of the competitor vibe coding, and you want a different domain, like you migrated your domain to Cloudflare, like then you could take your GitHub repo with all of the code that it is generated here in Lovable and sent over there, right? And just instantly port that in and have it, off to the races with those different services, right? Would that be a good sort of explanation, Chris, in terms of why you might want to do that?
Well, I think that your main point about like there's ways to connect it directly to your host and click deploy is kind of the answer to Kate's question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like a downside in terms of, I don't know, credits or something to keep something hosted on Lovable? Like if we just kept it there and used that URL, like let's say that was fine and it was like, okay, I'm going to keep that there. Does that cost more money or something? Because
No,
no?
I do that all the time. Probably most of my projects live at the .lovable app domain, especially when they're just experiments or small collaborations or something like that. It's just when I build something really cool that I want to get into the world that I then start to migrate it out of the Lovable spot. Um, I said it, but I think we might have missed it, which is by moving it into GitHub, you can access it via all the other AIs. Like a lot of us have pro accounts on GPT, and GPT's got this code auditor. And so if you build something cool and lovable, I would think of it as like a still sort of a proof of concept, like a visual proof of concept. Like it looks like it works, but have you done a security audit on it? Have you done all this stuff on it? And I want to do those things outside of Lovable. So if I stick it into Git, I can connect to it from all the other AIs.
Yeah, you can have Lovable do security sprints too, but yeah, that's a perfect point though. Yeah, it allows you to port it over anywhere else by using, um, GitHub integration, which is pretty easy to set up. We're happy to cover some of that in coaching if you'd like. We do have a part two for this activity, and part two is basically to make them more awesome or try them in VO, which is Vercel, which is the link that Chris put in the chat there. I want to send people back to breakout rooms for another 10 or so minutes to allow people to spin up another version or iterate a bit in partner pairs. And then I want to hear from different people that we haven't seen their projects so far yet. Sound okay? So keep iterating, basically, yeah, is kind of your assignment for the breakout rooms that we'll go back to.
Sorry, guys, I'm gonna have to jump off. I just had a fire
No
to
worries.
put out at work.
That's okay. Hopefully it's not a literal one. All
No,
good.
it's not. I'll watch the rest of the class once it's
Sounds
uploaded.
good. All good. I'm going to
Okay.
move Luis over into Kevin and Larissa's room for now. And yeah, see you guys back in about 10 minutes. See you, Fernanda. Okay. All right. Keep playing.
Like I saw a little bit of the women knocking themselves up. It's so interesting because I was actually just having a conversation with a guy who he lost his wife several years ago, but they have eggs. And it's actually been a conversation with him about pursuing their dream of a family alone. It's actually super coincidental. And then also like Canadian nutrition, just like public data like that, but made more accessible to you personally. There's so much data out there that people just throw out there.
Yeah, for the rare genetic disease stuff that you guys work on, like there's probably some really cool things to spin up as resources or hubs or
I think, yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things that we have is resource access and like information access, especially for people who are non-native English speakers.
Yep.
Like it's just like such a
That's
huge
something we
thing.
haven't even touched upon, but I think we probably should mention like, yeah, you want to version your site in XYZ languages, right?
Turkish or whatever, Finnish.
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing that's kind of like what has struck me so far is seeing that. But yeah, I'll definitely be grinding through the transcript and the lecture again. Sorry about that.
No worries, man. I was just giving you a hard time, but yeah, glad you're able to catch some of those already. We'll focus on different groups. I'm gonna close the rooms in just a minute here, so we have time to actually go through some.
Cool.
I'm actually just gonna close it now. Welcome back. People are taking a while. They must be having fun there.
Louise Julian was just sharing that he's got a friend. I think he said his wife passed and they had kept eggs and now they're kind of going through the knock himself up process that you're talking about as well.
Yeah, egg freezing at the time I wrote my book was sort of like a yeah, maybe it'll work kind of situation, and now it really works.
Time for a revised edition.
So yeah, so that's one thing. I'm actually put the book into Notebook. I think I put it into Notebook LLM anyway, so I'm going to use AI to help me with the updates on some of the
Such a
medical
great idea.
information.
Is like, a whole bunch of technology has existed since I wrote this. Let's prepare an outline of research for a revision or something like that. And then
Yeah. Well, and it gave me, I forget whether it was Notebook LM, because I keep on going. Unfortunately, my problem is like, I want to do this. No, that, no, the other, but it gave me good advice. Like, don't go in and like make an update in every single place. Do kind of little update thing at the end of each chapter. And I was like, well, that is really great advice. Thank you.
Cool.
Awesome. Who wants to share? We haven't heard from most of you yet, so anyone want to raise their hand?
Hey, I was gonna call on you, Alex. I want to see what you built.
Well, I just wanted to share because mine is not as complex as everyone's. However, I was very impressed with what I got for my result when I reiterated. So I'm just going to share here. So I uploaded this article that I was reading the other day called Classic Blog. And at first I asked it for something, an interactive clean site summarizing this blog, use like a philosophical, esoteric vibe, da da da. And it gave me something pretty basic, similar but nicer than what I'd originally read because the original blog was a little bit all over the place. But when I reiterated it, I asked if it could add more graphics and incorporate the images within the document. And one of the things that I really liked was that it was able to upload the original newspaper clipping from 1932 from the Fijian man who was interviewed for this. So it was pretty cool, and it generated an image with Maori sacred patterns in the chapter 2 portion. So I thought that was really, really neat that it was able to do that based off of the context that this blog has. So yeah, it's kind of like a interesting topic, relating to just time and how we are ruled by our clocks. We all worship them. We look at them constantly at their round faces and run in fear. And it's just really cool how it was able to kind of just pull everything from that article. Yeah.
Love it. It's a great example, turning one thing into another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks
Can I
for
ask a
sharing.
question? Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Maybe very rudimentary. So, what determines the aesthetic in this case? Did it already exist? Like, I know you mentioned a philosophical, esoteric vibe, but with like the serif font, like how did that all happen?
It made it for me. The actual article was just blank page. It was on Substack. So it was just a white page with like the writing. And
So
yeah,
it's
so
going to try to infer from the context of the article and your basic prompting what you are going for. But that's just like the first step of it. That's just because we're not specifying it or giving it context. We could also say, here's my branding style guide and an article about time I read last week. Build me a tool or a portal that looks or feels like this. Or after she already did what she did, she could go off to her favorite tarot or astrologer website that she loves, and she could be like, yo, take a look at this person's website, make it a blend of apple.com's modernness and this astrologer's website, and like reprompt it again, or grab screenshots from both of those things and attach them to the thing. So there's a few different ways to bring it under control. You can give it either like a branding guide text or 2 visual screenshots or links to a couple things with the stuff that you like about it. But all those would be great ways to bring it within compliance of the brand or something like that. Who else got something they want to show?
I
Tanya?
can show mine,
Yeah,
sure.
good. All right.
All right, so my first go was because it's very fresh for me. I decided to take all of my recent documents on artificial intimacy and love and throw them in there to see what it would come up with for a site. So just to give everyone's background, for the last 2 months, I've been doing research and then facilitated a deep dive group on this topic, and then did a keynote last week for BCAI ecosystem. So
And
it
it
showed.
rocked, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Peter.
It's amazing.
So what it came up with was this site, and this is just sort of based on like fairly preliminary documentation, sort of like my final notes. And I didn't really give it a huge prompt. I really wanted to see what it would just do with the data. So I asked it to be very text heavy and academic, but also make it accessible to a large audience. So really what I found it did was it focused primarily on my initial slide presentation, which was more of my like first go for my research, and pulled up really like the sort of core areas of focus, and shared some of the statistics. Interesting, I always find it interesting to see what it chooses to show and what it doesn't, and I'm always curious what's behind that in the black box. Why choose this stat over this one, and is there any relevance to that? That's always one of my questions. Provided theoretical frameworks in terms of how we think about what defines love as being real. So it goes through some of the different theories and models that were being used in the research, excuse me, that I was looking at, and also using to position my argument. And then gets a little more philosophical, goes into what makes love real, and pulled a couple of key definitions, which is, love is deep, vulnerable, mutual understanding, or knowing, and then some other quotes from some of the other academics and sort of world-renowned writers and social scientists in this area. Talks about those, and then the embodiment question around, is embodiment important for love, human intimacy versus AI intimacy?
I mean, Tanya, this is more or less what I've done with all those cool deep dive widget
Yeah.
things that you've seen. Is I'm like, here's the transcript from our whole deep dive, build a portal with, and so some of the prompts that I use to back and forth with it would be pretty useful for you as well, which is like, make a widget for each of these key concepts that allows me to interactively explore it more deeply or something like that. Yeah, really cool.
Totally. Then I moved into attachment economy. So the whole thing around moving from the attention economy to attachment economy, which is where we are now, and how that is becoming like basically the new monetizable surface for the powers that be around in the AI and social media spaces, advertising spaces. And then it actually interesting pulled out the movie Her, which was a smaller part of my research, but it grabbed it and it decided to make it a big part, which was interesting. And then some of the questions that I'd asked at the end. But one of the things I did like was it added a whole reference section. And I think
That's
it was
pretty
because
cool.
I had added academic to the prompt. So it had decided to add the books and academic papers, et cetera, that I had been using. So I did like that addition. And then what I did in the second part was I decided to go to Vercel and I decided to prompt it without creating an account.
Yep.
So all I did was just put the prompt in and let it pull things from the internet. But what I did add to the prompt was my argument, which was, what should human beings do, or human beings should safeguard by continuing to be connected to one another and guard to prevent relational atrophy. That's the only piece that I added to the prompt, and it ended up creating a completely different site with different sources, other than one that we both shared, which was interesting. That has a similar design but has different content.
I love this actually. I love the counter arguments part that it has up there too. And
Yeah.
I love that part where it's like the case against relational atrophy, because that wasn't exactly a word that I heard come up for you, but it does kind of like speak to what you're warning against.
Yeah, which is you need to continue to put effort into human to human connections and relationships in order to prevent us from, basically not having human relationships at all. And so this was an interesting exercise because it pulled up different content from the internet that was
Yeah.
academic or evidence-based, because I had made that a requirement and put together a completely different site. So what's interesting for me from that perspective is like from a research perspective, and even from like a building a position or argument perspective, you could use this as a different way to be able to, again, like flesh out your arguments, find new sources,
Totally.
Strengthen a position in a very non-traditional way, right?
Yeah. Its summaries here are pretty good. Like that whole,
Yeah.
the question is not whether AI can simulate love. It can. The question is whether it makes us less capable of the real thing. Like, fuck, that's really the heart of the matter that you were trying to surface.
Yeah.
And it's done a really good job.
Yeah, it's done a really good job.
I want to work with you real quick to show everyone something else. If you would flip back to the Lovable tab, please.
Yeah.
And then on my screen, I can't quite see the whole left column. It's kind of halfway cut off, but can you maybe move? Yeah, perfect. So you guys see down right above where it says how many credits are left. And then there's like, it says verify the site end to end. But if you kind of like scroll to the side, it also says add scroll animations and add something else.
Mm-hmm. If I could scroll, how do I scroll that way?
I don't know. I two fingers.
Add research.
Yeah, just click that one. And look, it makes a new prompt down there, like add a key thinker section with brief profiles of all the key thinkers, or click the one that says add scroll animations. Add a smooth scroll that fades in and fades out. So it looks at your content and suggests like 4 to 6 like enhancements. And so what I often do as my second prompt is I click the first one, like verify end to end, and then I copy and paste it on my clipboard. And then I click the second one, add scroll animations. And then I paste in the thing off my clipboard. Then I copy them both. Essentially, I add all 6 in one prompt and then have it run again with the 6 feature enhancements that it suggests. And it, because it's using its super brain to be like, here's the things I think would make it a lot more awesome, and I've got a plan for how to implement them. So that's
and make it one prompt.
Yeah,
Smart.
I just cut and paste them all in and run all 6 at the same time.
Nice. That's super smart. Cool. Okay. Yeah, so that's my
Thank you.
bit.
I hope you enjoyed your little downtime between when you gave your presentations and now when all the documentation is about to come out. Because as you see in the chat, I just dropped your video. I think you should
Oh,
make. I think you should refine this compendium website that you've started and publish it because there's about to be videos, photos, recaps, and maybe your own little standalone compendium website if someone wants to go deeper. So
all right. All
it
right.
would be a good pivot for your if you're not feeling 100% about your capstone right now,
Yeah,
you
no, I'm
might
not. This
well,
might be a good option.
I suggest then you might pivot to building out a standalone web compendium from your research and to talks using vibe coding, and you're 25%
That
of the way
sounds
done.
that sounds much more like viable for me right now. So, all
Cool.
right, I appreciate that. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So we're officially over time. Um, I can't wait to see what you guys do with this. I'm sorry we didn't have time to go through everyone's. We never do. But it might be the beginning of your capstone project or part of it, right? So we
Kate,
hope
I
to.
was thinking the same thing for you that I just said. If you're not 100% committed to a capstone already and pretty far down the road, why not take my blog post about your show, your blog post about your show, all the comments and shit you can find about it online, all them screenshots and stuff, dump it all into a vibe coding thing and be like, build a standalone artist recap of this show, prints and critiques from the web from the last, whatever. And just make that like a digital asset that, and then at some point you can like kind of walk away from the show and be like, I did it, I documented it, I published a compendium, and there it is on the internet or whatever. So that could be a good low hanging fruit for you as well.
I like that idea. Thank you.
That's it.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Super
Thanks,
useful.
everybody.
Yeah.
Hit us up if you have any apprehension about the capstone. Book those slots. And I really like for you to think of the Zoom that you're turning in for us as an artifact that you might want to publish to the world later to talk about your journey, what you built, and where you're going. So the bare minimum is build it for us, but the next level up would be like make it something you might want to share in public as well.
Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Coming transmission from the future.
Bye-bye.